is up, guys? We are back. Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of Any Action Sportscast, where we break down UFC cards every single week from a gambling perspective. So far this year, guys, we're up 27.35 units. My name is Effie, and this week we're going to be going over UFC 275, GLOVER Teixeira versus JIRI PROCHAZKA. But before we do that, guys, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. We're at 79 subscribers, and we're looking to hit 100 soon. So go ahead and help us grow and hit that subscribe button. Honestly, I feel pretty good to be 6 months into the year and to be up 27 units.
Brick by brick!
And before we go into this UFC 275 card, let's go over how our bets did at UFC Vegas 56.
That shit was crazy, bruh.
We ended up going 3-2 at UFC Vegas 56 for positive 1.0 units profit. We had Movsar Evoliya via decision, minus 150, 1.5 units to win one. I wish I would have been bigger on this bet because Movsar made it look easy. That Nige's power threat was there in the first round, but after that he pretty much got ragdolled. He had no answers to the takedown and he pretty much got crushed. After that, we had Ode Osborne, minus 170, 1.7 units to win one, and he also made it look easy. He got it done in round 1 via knockout. Shout out to Syndicate MMA, they had their fighter looking sharp. We also had Alonzo Menefield, minus 165, 1.65 units to win one. I was glad to get in front of the line movement here, as throughout the week people found out that his opponent was a straight up fraud. We had to fade the fraud and we took a shot on Menefield and he gets it done in round 1. Easy, no sweat there. After that, guys, we had a fight that busted our parlay. We had Volkov via decision, plus 200, 1 unit to win 2. Now I thought his path to victory there was going to be via decision, albeit 25 minutes was going to be a sweaty bet there against Biggie Boy. He ends up getting the job done in round 1. We should have took Volkov straight up. This was a stupid bet and I definitely regret it. We also had a parlay, plus 147, 1 unit to win 1.47. We had Blanchfield and Aldridge over 2.5 rounds at minus 270. Now, watching the fight live, I thought Aldridge was putting up a good fight and showing some good takedown defense. I was actually kind of happy. I thought the fight was going to get extended. And sure enough, she gets snatched. She gets her neck snatched and get put in a standing guillotine. We lose it. Blanchfield gets it done in round 2. I think she might be a real deal prospect there. Happy for her to get the win there. Sucks for our bet. Plus the parlay, which wouldn't matter anyway because we had the Volkov versus Rogerio over 3.5 rounds, minus 125. So overall, guys, we finished with UFC Vegas 56 plus 1.0 units, putting us at 27.35 units profit on the year. Like I said earlier, guys, we feel pretty good about the numbers being up 27 units on the year. This is our first year making content, so make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, hit that like button to help us grow. Hit a comment and let us know who you got this week. Let's get right into UFC 275. GLOVER Teixeira versus JIRI PROCHAZKA. UFC 275 should be an awesome card, and it's going to be headlined by GLOVER Teixeira taking on JIRI PROCHAZKA. Now, the light heavyweight title is going to be on the line as GLOVER Teixeira looks to defend his belt, but he's actually coming into the fight as the betting underdog. The line currently sits GLOVER Teixeira plus 170 and JIRI PROCHAZKA at minus 200. Now, I gotta say, guys, I've watched enough tape on JIRI PROCHAZKA to disagree with that line. I don't think that JIRI should be a 2-1 favorite, but it's just that his path to victory will make him probably look like he's minus 500 if he does win. The over-under currently sits at 2.5 rounds, minus 170 to the under, and plus 140 to the over. And I gotta say, I lean the under there, as I do think that someone's gonna get finished here within the first 10 minutes of this fight. I just don't know if it's gonna be JIRI being able to knock out GLOVER Teixeira, or GLOVER Teixeira being able to take down JIRI and finishing him there on the feet. I'm going with GLOVER Teixeira to defeat JIRI PROCHAZKA and defend his belt. If you consider the way that JIRI fights, I just think there's going to be too many opportunities for him to get taken down. He throws everything into his punches. He throws a ton of kicks. He's not afraid to throw spinning attacks either, whether it be spinning kicks or spinning elbows. That's just, to me, a recipe to be getting taken down by someone like GLOVER Teixeira. And if you look at his tape, guys, he got taken down 1 minute into the Dominic Reyes fight. He got taken down by Vadim Nemkov 40 seconds into their fight. Against King Mo when he lost and got knocked out, he got taken down 2 minutes and 20 seconds into that fight. He ended up gassing out, getting knocked out later. He also got taken down 90 seconds in a different fight against Carl Albertson. 90 seconds into that fight, he was getting taken down. That's never a good sign, guys, especially when you're fighting someone that relies so heavily on their, ground and pound and submissions as GLOVER Teixeira. On the feet, it's not even close. JIRI will be faster, he will have the power advantage, and he's just super dangerous on the feet. The knockout can come at any second for JIRI PROCHAZKA. That's why I love the under at minus 170. I'm actually surprised to see it priced that way. I think that GLOVER, he's 42 years old. He's 13 years older than JIRI. So, it's kind of hard to bet on a guy with that much age on him, that much miles on him. 30 of his 7 professional losses have been via knockout, and that's probably the most likely path for JIRI to win this fight. But man, I'm going with the champ. I think he's going to defend his title. I think he's going to fight smart and get a takedown here pretty easily. I gotta go with Glover Teixeira via inside the distance. I just don't know if he's going to get a rear neck and choke submission him, or if he's going to ground and pound and finish him here. I'm going with Glover. And still. And in the co-main event at UFC 275, we get to see one of the best fighters in the world, in my opinion, when Valentina Shevchenko defends her flyweight belt against Taila Santos. Line currently sits Shevchenko, the favorite, minus 800, and Santos, plus 400. That's actually closer than a lot of the odds for Valentina's fights of late. But I gotta say, guys, this seems like an open and shut case. How in the world is Valentina gonna lose? In my opinion, she's gonna have to get finished early. Santos is gonna have to knock out Valentina early, or she's gonna lose a 5-round dominant decision, in my opinion, or Valentina is gonna get a finish late. I do think that Santos has a bit of power, as she has 3 knockdowns in 6 UFC level fights. That's pretty good. Valentina actually only has 1 knockdown in 13 UFC fights. I mean, granted, when she knocks people out, it usually means she got a KO, so they don't count. But still, that's pretty impressive for Santos. But guys, one thing that stuck out about Santos was she just fights nobody. Like, her level of opponents is obviously nowhere near someone like Valentina. Valentina, in my opinion, is one of the greatest women fighters, and if not fighters in general, ever. And so when you look at Santos' actual resume, I mean, she is good. Don't get me wrong, she is good. But her opponents have not been good. Calderwood was good, and Montefiore was good. Those are her 2 best wins. But before that, guys, pre-Dana White Contender Series, she was 13-0, and her opponents' combined record was 7-11. Her 8th, 9th, 10th pro wins were against fighters that were 0-0, 0-1, and 0-0. She was just mollywhopping these Brazilian regional scene girls. Her last 2 fights before Dana White Contender Series were both against 0-1 fighters. That's pretty insane to me. Every girl she has fought with more than 1 win has taken her all 3 rounds. She's never been to round 4, as she's obviously never been in a championship fight before. So this just screams like Valentina. But you can't bet minus 800, and you can't really put that on a parlay. So you gotta think about, how is she gonna win and the method of victory? Well, if she wins via decision, then that means the fight went over, and the over-under currently sits 3.5 rounds, minus 140 to the over. Santos is pretty durable, and obviously so is Valentina. But I really do like that over. I do think Valentina gets a finish here, late, or a dominant decision. So I'm going to go with and still, one of the best fighters in the world, Valentina, to get a knockout, and then do the dance. UFC 275 is going to have a rematch of one of the best fights that I've ever seen. Weili Zhang is going to take on Joanna and Jedezejczyk, and the line currently sits Weili, minus 170, and Joanna and Jedezejczyk, the underdog, plus 140. Now, at first I thought, wow, there might be value here on Joanna and Jedezejczyk. But there's just too many red flags putting me off of betting on her here. First of all, she hasn't fought in 2 years, and she hasn't fought since that one, legendary fight where she took a ton of damage. And we all remember the hemotoba on her head. But if we go back to that last fight, guys, I actually think that Joanna would have won if she didn't get that on her head. When you think about this fight, it was obvious that Joanna has the volume, the accuracy, and the pace, really, whereas Weili takes one to give one, and she clearly has the power advantage. She can land 1 punch, and it would show way more than if Joanna landed 3. That was an intense fight, and it was going such back and forth, battles. But this fight, guys, is giving me a 3-round fight, and I think that matters here. Since then, Weili's been the more active fighter. She's fought since the first fight, whereas Joanna has been on the sidelines for 2 years. But Weili's been actively losing. She got head kicked, knocked out by Rose, and then she fought Rose again, where she did look better. But I actually thought she might have won that on someone's scorecards. But, she ultimately ended up losing her title shot again. And now she's looking at being 0-3 if she drops this fight too in her last 3 fights. I don't think that's going to happen here, as I do think Weili Zhang is going to win via decision. The over-under is 2.5 rounds, and I do think it's going to go over 2.5 rounds. I'm just not so certain how Joanna is going to look here. With it being 3 rounds, she might be able to sneak 2 rounds just off pure volume. I do expect Weili to try to initiate the clinch more here in this fight, as she spent time with Henry Cejudo at Fight Ready in Arizona, and for this camp, she's over at Bang Tao with the Hickman brothers. I do expect her to look good here, as this is in her part of the world, her region of the world, and so the crowd's going to be behind her and supporting her big time here. I think she's going to show up in front of the big lights, so I'm going to go ahead and pick Weili Zhang via decision. And up next, guys, we have a flyweight bout between Manuel Kape and Rodrigo Bontorin. Line currently sits Manuel Kape minus 230 and Bontorin plus 190. These guys have similar records, as Kape is 17-6 and Bontorin is 17-4, and they're both finishers. Kape has finished 16 out of his 17 wins, and Bontorin has finished 14 out of his 17 wins. Now, usually flyweights don't really finish fights that much, but this one might finish early. And I gotta say, if it does happen, I think it's gonna come from Manuel Kape. When he came to the UFC, they immediately gave him Alexander Pantoja, and to me, that's a big sign of how high the UFC thinks of this guy. But honestly, if you look at the fight, that was probably the dumbest he has fought in the UFC. He showed incredibly low fight IQ, and he didn't do anything. He let Pantoja pretty much win that fight and take that fight from him, where I didn't think that Pantoja was that much better than him that night. And since then, he's been looking smarter and smarter every single time he comes in the octagon. We have to talk about how he did pop for steroids, which is why he couldn't fight in Vegas, and now he has to fight overseas. So that's a bit of a red flag and kind of a question mark there. But guys, he went on to fight Mateus Nicolau. He lost that, and he actually showed a pretty big glaring weakness there. He got blanketed. He got taken down and controlled. You know, he is a striker. He likes to bounce around in the cage and look for a finish. And Mateus Nicolau wasn't having that. He was trying to get him down. But I think Mateus is a pretty good fighter, and I really do think highly of him. After that, he got finishes against Ode Osborne and Zaga Zumagulov, who actually both were just on the card last week. Finished both those guys. So I really do think that he's found his grip here. He's worked on those things that he's need to work on, and he should probably get another finish here. But this is definitely a striker versus wrestler where Bontorin will want to get this on the ground. Like I said, Kape is dangerous on the feet, and Bontorin is sort of known to gas. So a guy that has a questionable gas tank, and in a fight where he's going to need to wrestle for 15 straight minutes, it's kind of a red flag. So I'm going to go ahead and pick Manuel Kape via knockout, and I'm going to say it comes in round 1. And in this next fight, guys, we have Jack Della Maddalena versus Ramazan Emeev. Line currently sits Jack the favorite, -150, and Ramazan Emeev, the underdog, +130. Now this line actually flipped, and I'm pissed I didn't get Jack at plus money. To know that I could have got him at +130, man, I dropped the ball on that for sure. That's some insane value. At -150, I still might play it, but it's risky. Let's get into it. First of all, in my opinion, this it would fight between two fighters that fight completely different styles. We have Ramazan Emeev, who's a decision machine, and Jack Della Maddalena, who's a finisher machine. This guy just finishes everybody. He's 11-2 as a pro. He has 9 finishes, and his 2 losses, he's been finished both times. On the other hand, you have Ramazan Emeev, who's fought 7 times in the UFC, and all 7 have gone to decision. Whether he's winning or he's losing, he's 5-2. They're all going to decision. Now, how does he do it? Well, first of all, he's a grappler from Russia. He's from Dagestan, so he's going to look to grapple here. Thing is, Jack Maddalena is pretty good and pretty strong defensively there. He has some judo chops, and he's pretty good defending takedowns. When he does get taken down, he's shown an ability to get up. Also, Emeev is getting older, as I believe he's 35 years old. That's pretty old for a UFC fighter, especially at this weight division. I do think that Jack's the up-and-coming fighter, the up-and-coming prospect. So I was surprised to see him open as an underdog, but I'm not surprised to see him at -150 at this point in the week. I'm going to go ahead and pick Jack Maddalena via decision. And up next, guys, we have Brendan Allen taking on Jacob Malkoun. Line currently sits Brendan Allen, the favorite, at -280, and Jacob Malkoun, the underdog, at +220. That line's getting pretty wide, but I gotta say, I agree. I don't know where Brendan Allen is in danger in this fight. Can he get taken down over and over again by Jacob Malkoun? Maybe. But even if he does, he's pretty dangerous off his back with his BJJ. He has submission threats all over his game, and I just trust him wherever this fight goes. If you look at the tail of the tape, he's supposed to be way bigger than Jacob Malkoun. Jacob Malkoun is listed at 5'9", and Brendan Allen's listed at 6'2". He's going to have a 5-inch height advantage and a 2-inch reach advantage. Jacob Malkoun's game is wrestling-based. We all know he's Robert Whittaker's wrestling coach, but I don't think that he's the same level as Brendan Allen. Brendan Allen did get knocked out pretty bad against Chris Curtis, but I don't think that's going to happen here. I don't think he's going to be the worst striker or the worst grappler. I think he has a better gas tank, and I just think that he's a confident play here. Maybe the jet lag is the only thing that I can think of as maybe a red flag, but man, I really trust Brendan Allen here. I think he's going to make it look pretty easy. I think he's going to get it inside the distance, so I'm going to go ahead and pick Brendan Allen inside the distance. Up next, guys, we have a fight that, in my opinion, should be closer than the line indicates. We have Seung Choi versus Josh Culibao. Now, Seung Choi currently sits -220, and Josh Culibao at +200. Now, when I broke this fight down, I didn't really have a strong opinion betting-wise, but I was surprised to see that line that wide. Josh Culibao came to the UFC. He's 1-1-1, got smoked by Jalen Turner, but he actually came back and looked pretty good against Charles Jourdain. In my opinion, those are 2 really good fighters to have experience against in the UFC. He ended up winning a decision in his last fight. On the other hand, you have Seung Choi, who, in my opinion, is the better overall fighter. He actually uses his wrestling and striking more as far as mixing them in together than Culibao. Culibao is more of a striker, as he's shot 11 takedowns in the UFC and he's let in 0. So in my opinion, Choi doesn't really have to worry about getting taken down, submitted, or getting taken down and controlled. This is more going to be a 15-minute standing affair. And if that were to happen, I do think that he has the power advantage and the striking advantage. He is pretty quick. He's going to have a speed advantage, in my opinion, albeit slight. So I'm going to go ahead and pick Seung Choi via finish late, but I don't have a strong enough opinion to put money on it. I'm going to go ahead and pick Seung Choi via third round KO. And up next, guys, we have Steve Garcia taking on Maheshate. The line currently sits Steve Garcia, the favorite, at -170, and Maheshate, the underdog, at +140. I'm going to keep this breakdown pretty quick, guys, as I think it's a pretty easy fight to explain. Steve Garcia needs to go out there and use his wrestling and get this guy down, hold him down for 15 straight minutes and win a decision here. I do think that a submission or a late ground and pound can present itself here, but I'm just not impressed by Maheshate. He's making his UFC debut, coming off a Contender Series win. You know, he's 6-1 as a pro, I believe, but he hasn't really shown an ability to get up if he does get taken down. And Steve Garcia is a relentless wrestler fighting at a Jackson week, and I do think that he's going to be able to get this fight to where he wants. I think that he's going to win here via decision. The only thing that, in my opinion, might be a red flag is the jet lag. He's going to have to fly from New Mexico all the way to Singapore, but, you know, he'll have to get over it. I do think that he's a safe play here, -170. I don't know if I'm going to bet on it, but my pick is Steve Garcia via decision. And up next, guys, we have Andre Fialho taking on Jake Matthews. The line currently sits Fialho, the favorite, at -150, and Jake Matthews, the underdog, at +130. And I gotta say, guys, I think the dog is live in this fight. I'm going to be all over Jake Matthews here, and I'll tell you why. First of all, he has way more high-level experience than Andre Fialho. Now, I get it. Fialho was fighting high-level fighters outside of the UFC before he got to the UFC, so it wasn't like he was fighting some 0-0, 0-1 fighters. He was fighting in Bellator. He was fighting in, you know, pretty big promotions across the world. Then he came over to the UFC. But he is somewhat of a can crusher, and guys, he's finishing all of his fights the way he wins within the first or second round. Round 1 knockout, round 1 knockout, round 1 knockout, round 2 knockout, round 1 knockout. Just go look at his record. This guy's a knockout machine. Now, am I really going to bet on a guy in Jake Matthews that got knocked out by Kevin Lee? Yeah. But think about it, guys. He has 15 UFC fights and has only been knocked down 1 time. I do think that his chin's going to hold up here, and I do think that he's going to be able to win this fight as long as the fight gets extended. If Fialho clips him early here, I do expect his chin to hold up, but it's going to be dangerous, and obviously Andre's live to finish the fight super early, really any moment in the fight. I'm going to go ahead and pick the guy with the more experience. The guy has to travel less, and just like really a guy that I feel like if he has to, can mix in a couple of takedowns, where I don't think that's going to be the case for Andre Fialho. If you're betting on Andre Fialho, you're going to be sitting there kind of just hoping for a knockout, and it could happen for sure, but I just don't like being in those spots, being in those Derek Lewis knockout or bust type bets. But I mean, I was on Andre Fialho his last fight. I was glad to hit that. But I think that his luck's going to run out here. This is somewhat of a short notice fight, more of a quick return, I'd say. He did fight a month ago against Cameron Van Camp. Before that, he finished Baeza. And granted, Jake Matthews' last win was against Diego Sanchez. That's never good. But man, I just think that I have to go with the guy that's fought more, fought better fighters, and is a more proven product here. I'll go ahead and pick Jake Matthews via decision. And in this next fight, guys, we have Kang taking on Danaa Batgerel. The line currently sits Danaa, the favorite, at -150, and Kang, the underdog, at +130. And I gotta say, guys, I'm on the underdog again in this fight. I think there's a ton of value on Kang, and I'll tell you why. First of all, big red flag to me. Danaa Batgerel is coming off a quick turnaround after just getting viciously knocked out by Chris Gutierrez at the end of March. So here we are at the beginning of June, and he's taking another fight on somewhat pretty short notice. Usually, when you see a guy get knocked out like that, they take time off and, recover. So I don't know how much of a good camp he must have got for this fight, if at all, really. On the other hand, this is a straight-up striker versus grappler type fight. Danaa Batgerel is a better striker in this fight, and he probably will have the power advantage. Actually, he definitely will have the power advantage. Whereas Kang, he is a grappler. He wants to win minutes on the ground. His average fight time in the UFC is 12 minutes. Danaa Batgerel's average fight time in the UFC is 5 minutes. So he's trying to get these guys out of there pretty quickly. So I'm going to go ahead and pick the wrestler here to win a decision. I think Kang can withstand the knockout and avoid getting knocked out and get this fight on the mat. Batgerel has only had to defend 7 takedowns in the UFC so far in 5 fights, and I think that Kang is going to be spamming takedown attempts here at will. If he doesn't, and he just tries to strike for 15 minutes, that would be a huge sign of low fight IQ, and that would suck. But I do think that he's going to pursue the takedowns here and get us a decision here. So I'm going to go ahead and pick Kang via decision. And up next, guys, we have Silvana Gomez Juarez taking on Liang. Line currently sits Gomez Juarez, the favorite, at -150, and Liang, the underdog, +130. I gotta say, guys, I like the underdog again. I'm just all over the underdogs to end this card. Or I should say to start this card. So far, we'll get into it. So far, Silvana Gomez has 0 UFC wins. Gomez is yet to win a fight in the UFC. She has beaten 0 high-level opponents. On the other hand, Liang can get fights to the ground. Gomez Juarez has horrific takedown defense and horrific fight IQ. I think there's a blatant blueprint path to victory here for Liang. Plus, she's going to be fighting in her home region. I just think that she's going to go out there and spam takedowns over and over again. And even if she does get herself put on the ground, the submission should be there. Gomez Juarez has been subbed twice. And I think it's going to be 3 times in a row here. And she's going to find herself outside of the UFC. Give me Liang all day via submission. And the very first fight of the UFC 275 prelims is going to be Ramona Pascual taking on Joselyne Edwards. Line currently sits Joselyne, the favorite, -175, and Ramona Pascual +150. I gotta do it again, guys. I gotta say, I like the dog again in this fight. Now, Joselyne Edwards should have everything going for her in this fight as far as the tail of the tape. She's a younger fighter, the bigger fighter, the more experienced fighter, has fought the better fighters, and overall has more of a finishing ability. But, in my opinion, the big thing in this fight is that she's going to get taken down. She should be able to get taken down at will here by Ramona, because Joselyne has shown throughout her career that she just lacks takedown defense. She's a Muay Thai fighter with, good straight punches and powerful kicks, but I just think that Ramona has a clear path to victory here via taking her down, controlling her via minutes. Now, when you have something like this, and it comes to betting money, you pretty much have to bet on Ramona to have a good fight IQ, a good fight game plan, and sticking to it. Kind of a risky proposition, because obviously it's pretty clear that she needs to get her taken down here, but we just don't know if she's going to stick to that game plan and pursue that. I gotta say, I'd rather lay the +150 than the -175 on Joselyne Edwards. I actually probably like the over more than anything, but I just think that Ramona Pascual is going to be able to win minutes, control Joselyne, and win via decision here. So for our official pick, guys, we're going to go ahead and pick Ramona Pascual via decision. And that'll do it, guys, for our UFC's 275 full card breakdown. Now it's time to go over the most important part of the show and tell you guys who we have our money on for this week's card. And I gotta say, guys, it's an underdog heavy card for us. Let's go over it. We have Jake Matthews at +130, 1 unit to win 1.3. I do think he's a better overall fighter here, and he just has to avoid getting knocked out by his opponent, Andre Fialho here. This will be Andre's 3rd fight in 3 months, and I really do think that Jake can avoid the knockout like Michelle Pereira did and get a decision here. Then we have Ramona Pascual, +150, 1 unit to win 1.5. And I think that she could just repeatedly take down Joselyne Edwards and win a decision here as well. Then we have Liang, +130, 1 unit to 1.3. I think just the way that she fights is a pretty glaring weakness for her opponent. Her opponent's been subbed twice in the UFC, and Na likes to get submissions. So look for her to get this fight to the ground and look for a sub here early. Then we have Valentina Shevchenko via decision, +105, 1 unit to win 105. Now the only threat here is if Shevchenko finishes the fight early, or really at any point in the fight, we will lose this bet. But I think that Santos will be durable enough, and that Shevchenko will pretty much dominate and cruise to a 5-round decision here. Which leads us to our next bet, which is actually the over in that fight. We have Valentina Shevchenko and Santos over 3.5 rounds, -140, 1.4 units to win 1. I think that's going to hit. As like I said, I think that Shevchenko is going to win that fight overall via decision. And guys, in the main event, we have Glover Teixeira inside the distance at +275, 1 unit to win 2.75. That's a big shot, and I think it's going to happen, guys. Then we actually have a parlay, -105 odds, 1.50 units to win 1.46. We're going to parlay Manuel Kape and Brendan Allen. I think both guys should win their fights, although both should be somewhat of a sweat. I think they can pull it off. I feel good about those odds. So we're going to go ahead and put 1.5 units on that parlay, and hopefully it hits. And guys, the long anticipated return of our lock of the night play is here. We're going to go ahead and have a lock of the night play for UFC 275, and it's going to be in the main event. We're going to take Glover Teixeira versus JIRI Prochazka under 2.5 rounds, -170, 5 units to win 2.94. I feel great about this bet because I feel like either guy can finish this fight within 12.5 minutes. I honestly think that this fight will finish within the first 10 minutes, but with the extra 2.5 minutes that they're giving us here for only -170, I think we have to make it a lock of the night, and we have to go and bring out our 5-unit play and lay it on this bet here. Whether it be JIRI knocking out Old Man Glover or Glover getting JIRI down and causing JIRI to gas and then eventually get finished, I think this is a good play, man. So good luck, guys, this week. We'll see you next week for UFC Austin. That main event's going to be sick, Qatar versus Emmett. And make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Leave us a comment. Who do you guys have this week? We'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Could it be? Could it be? Yeah. Could it be? I know which way to go. If you want to smoke, yeah, say